Welcome back to a very special Halloween edition of Made Up of Wires. Appreciate everybody joining. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony on that. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I can listen to myself with that echo, but we'll see how it goes. You can go to soten.z.dev to learn more about the Castlevania Symphony on that decompilation project. Today I'm going to talk about a few things. We'll get back to the Cloak Knight. I'm going to turn that off. I can't deal with it. I like the lights, but can't deal with the sound. We're going to deal with the Cloak Knight a little later. I want to talk about the debug module first. This isn't something that I've used before, but I wanted to find some of the sound effects that were being used by the Cloak Knight and Harpy, and those haven't been documented yet. Cinemax and Dirt Princess have been going through all those, and let me show you the debug module. This is something that I believe SozuD created a while ago. If I can get back to it, yeah, there we go. We have a wiki page about it. The debug module is a feature that allows you to go through and evaluate a bunch of different things. It's something that was written specifically by SozuD for maybe Zyanimo wrote it as well for this Symphony of the Night decompilation project, and it gives you a menu. It replaces the bat familiar and gives you a menu that allows you to enable a bunch of different debug options that usually we just do manually. But one of those is a sound effect player. So let's see if we can do that. We should be able to switch into the NZ1 sound effects. Right now I'm in the reverse chapel. Oh, I forgot. I can't use a controller. This has to be done in PCSX Redux. And the reason for that is, I'm not sure. Let me get that set up. Why are you not capturing? 1 second while I try to get this capture working. Oh, it was working right before the stream, and now of course it's not working. There we go. So we have a couple things. We have our memory editor, which is a little different. I've just been using that to enable the bat card because basically we compile a module in and replace the bat familiar with it. Anyway, I still can't use that controller. So we're going to go in to relics, enable the bat card, and up at the top now we get the debug menu. It says L2 for debug, and now I'm going to have to remember which key that is. Oh, it's A. So one of the things you can do, you can change the stage. Hey, dig down deep. Hey, Dizek. The game is pretty loud. Oh. Is it? I don't see any audio coming from the game. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, that's let me fix that. There we go. Okay. So yeah. I do feel lower than normal, but the audio, lower audio, yeah. I can turn back on the amplifier, but I can't stand the noise. We get the lights though. That's probably worse. Anyway, so we have this the debug menu. Can't do it. Thought I'd make it through a little further, but can't do it. All right. So we get through debug menu, and we could keep tapping L2. It'll go through a bunch of different things. Some of these I've tried before, some of them I haven't. Unfortunately, I prefer to use this in DuckStation, but I can't get it working in DuckStation, and I don't know why. So what I want is this here, which is the sound effect player. There's 3 different kinds of sound effects. Not sure what the meaning of those are, but we're going to go through and we're going to choose NZ1. And no, that's not the button I wanted. Let's get that back. Okay, so we've loaded NZ1, and the harpy sound effects are way up at 7, 8, A, and B. And actually, I can't hear these. Let me see if I can turn up my own volume a little louder without blowing out my microphone at the same time. I don't think that there's a page button, so I can't page through these. But we're gonna go way up to 7. Yeah, Friday stream. I missed a bunch of days in the middle of the week, so I thought I'd do a very special Halloween stream. Last year, if you followed the stream, I became an Alucard VTuber. Alright, so I think 7A8 is the first one. Oh, that sounds like a harpy yelp. That's like harpy death. Variation on that harpy. 789 is nothing. So we can go through each of these. And let me go to the terminal. And so we have our sound effects. I'm going to go to E-harpy. So we have our 7/8B. This sounds like, to me, the death. Harpy death. And so many of these haven't been done yet. Looks like, though, some of them have been recently. So there is a the bird cycle. Oh, that's the birds at the bottom of the what is it? Castle wall? What is outer wall? So 7, 8 A is like harpy chirp, harpy attack. And harpy death for 7/8B. I think those are 2 of them that we're missing. And I think those are the 2 that I didn't see before. Build all has made it into master. Turn my volume down so I can hear again. And we'll build that. And we should get everything. Sound effects are used so broadly that a lot of the code gets rebuilt. partially because it's also included in game.h. I do have a PR to try to fix that. There's only about 200 files that use sound effects, but unfortunately we have to rebuild the world when we do it, but all of that builds. Hey OTM, good to have you back. Stream 5 5 days a week might not be the best. Anyway, the debug module is really cool, and I need to probably leverage it more. I've had trouble, and I've reached out to the PCSX Redux team. I can't get SDL controllers to work in PCSX Redux, and I've tried. I've like gone through and rebuilt the SDL database, manually adding entries for different Xbox controllers that I have, and they just don't show up, and I don't know why. So I've kind of given up on it as an emulator. Too bad. I'm not the MUI library. I'm not a big fan of, and I know I highlighted imhex a couple weeks ago, which I do like a lot, but MUI, it's its own thing for sure. I appreciate it. Appreciate that people show up and come back every day. Masochists, all of you. All right, let's finish this out, hopefully. So when we left yesterday with the Cloak Knight, we're missing a variable, and that's usually the opposite of what happens. Usually there's too many variables and we have to get rid of them. This time we're in the opposite situation, and that's okay. We'll figure it out. It looks like... So what I'm going to do is basically annotate each of these with what the correct register should be for that variable. And by doing that, hopefully we can find where that split happens. So basically, I'll highlight each one of these registers. I want to make sure that it's being used consistently throughout the function. Both the original version of the function and our version of the function should use the registers in the same way. The same register may not have been chosen at this point. It could just be, in this case, an ordering issue, and maybe reordering these would be the same. That didn't seem to do anything though. So all I can do right now is just make sure that they're being used the same way. And as long as they are, that's fine. We'll eventually come to the point where we can figure out what the right one is. 23 is where prim index is. Prim index is getting written to register as 7, and that seems consistent as well. And I don't think that one is reused as a variable anywhere. I could be wrong. It's being used as something different here. I don't like that when I click on the number, it gets rid of my highlighting, but what can you do? Okay, so that's the same. Pause X is the next one. So right away we see 68. Pause X should be here. And this, so that was obviously a bug. The wrong variable being used to check the distance. This helps with that as well. That's why it's just tedious, but necessary. I mean, what part of this is not tedious? It's all tedious. That looks fine. This pause pointer, definitely kind of an odd one. This will also help us find if maybe we should be using the same variable somewhere. I don't think that that's the case, but 252, this is S6. Like this one is just used here, nowhere else. This S6 is not the variable. It's just an intermediate temporary value. And two more. So far though, none of these have showed up as being used more places than they should be, just less. Oh, so here we may be getting the first taste of that. So there's an S3 that's being used in the middle here. It looks like possibly distance is being multiplied and then passed to square root and then being reassigned. So I think that's going to be the case. It is going to be S3. So let's fix that one. I think I had to make that change elsewhere as well. So now we got S1 reassigned to S1. How close are we? 1201, we're a little closer. A move here, which 107, let's see if there's anything we can do about that. Yeah, we looked at this yesterday too. There's a couple ways to negate this. They all should be relatively equivalent. I'm hoping something else gives us the move. I do see this S2 use down here on 110. So it looks like this mask may be done outside of this. So let's look at what S2 was. We don't have S2 yet. 102 S2 is being used. Let me finish off the, sorry. We were working on distance. Let me finish off that. Then we'll get back to hopefully that S2. We have the move here again. Oh, we're going to S8 down here on 246. This might be our additional variable. We don't have an S8 yet. So let's make a new variable called scale. We know that there's one missing. And it looks like this might be it. So yeah, let's create a new one. That's getting us very close. We did get the correct register that we wanted there. Still have a few unnecessary moves. Stack is correct though. Last one, which is this angle, which should be S2. So 111. And this is where we were seeing it before. So this is an assignment. Okay, that's getting us much closer. Still a few small variable issues. Let's highlight those again. Looks like we got most of the registers to align. Some constants related to buttons that are not a concern. V1 versus V0. That may be the same thing as the harpy function, where there is a less than equals or a greater than equals, or we need to switch it to that. So I think that's it. I think we just have V0, V1 differences now. That's pretty good. I think we're almost there. Let's take this. We should be at 100%, I'm guessing, or nearly 100% on the PlayStation now. I'm expecting that one to fall in line. 480 is a little higher than I expect, but let's just double check that they're all immediate values. Maybe there's a lot of global symbols. Nope. 103. So this looks like it's a knot. Okay, so this is going to change the offset here. We'll fix this. No, it's not a load word. I'm going to take this out of... Let's try a couple things. Let's try the pre-decrement. I don't think it's a oh, it is a pre-decrement. That was called out yesterday too. Let's see if that still works over here. Doesn't change anything. What line was that on? 103. Just want to make sure that that's still worked out. Oh, so then we do have a knot. We don't want the extra SEH, which is the sign extend from the 16-bit. And maybe that was it. That fix all of our other register issues? It appears to have. So I ignored it yesterday, and thinking back through, for a post-decrement and then an equality check, I would have thought that the equality check was on the previous value, but is it not? When it's an L value? I don't know. That, I guess, is a part of the C language that I'm not familiar enough with. So we should be, yeah, we're at 80% or 80 difference. So these are matches. Let's get this building. So we're gonna have a cluster of entities related to the Cloaked Knight at least 3 of them, and we'll need to find what those are. This is in... So we should split that as well. 80B. 80BF4. Where did I get that from? Oh, that's the global BC0C. Oh, so this did match. That's interesting. This did match with partially with Spectral Sword, and that's effectively... No, it's a little different than that. And we do have Spectral Sword here too. So it is a little different. But we'll replace this 80BC first. This might be a cluster of functions that are all related. Multiple definitions of... Well, I'm not defining it. So why is the compiler upset? I don't think I have init yet. No, it's all just data right now. Why is the compiler angry? Let's try to read more carefully. In function. Oh. We don't have enough information here. And it's a bad compiler warning. Partially, it's probably bad because it's a compiler from 1995-ish. What it should be saying is the type that is init is unknown because I'm not including the right header. And we probably should just rewrite these headers when we generate the files to include this stage header, but that's not what's done. So we do have a difference. And it's a big one. So we have 8 additional bytes. I don't recall if there's a jump table here. Let's look at that and see if there's a jump table. It shouldn't be. I was gonna say the reason could be related to RO data not being mapped properly, but that shouldn't be. We might have a split that's in the wrong place. But let's look at the assembly. So we're looking at non-matchings 3A, and then so it looks like I got the wrong function. No, I didn't. Oh, this is just kind of in the middle. That's interesting. So we do have a jump table. We do have this RO data. The RO data is already affiliated with this function. Let's check the splat config. 3A9 2C. So we do have this 25B60, which is where we're saying our RO data is starting. Let's make sure that step towards doesn't have any RO data, but I think that it does. No, step towards doesn't. So the next step is to see where this additional data, or like what is different. So the first thing I see at 25B70 is we have a 44 versus a 40, 801B C040. Those are that's an address, probably a jump table address, and it's 4 bytes off or 1 instruction off. So that, and the next one is as well. And before that, we have the much earlier. These are just going to be address offsets that differ as well. So 25B70, let's look at that. 25. That's this jump table here. So I think that there's a split. What happens when the compiler is compiling multiple functions together, it will align them on some predefined alignment. And I think it's 4 bytes for 4 quads, 4 words for GCC. So in between each function, there's going to be 4 words for functions that are in the same file. If those functions aren't in the same file, though, they get jammed. They get jammed right up next to each other. One way that we can try to see if this is the case, sometimes Splat will give us a hint about this. So we can split this. Spliat. It doesn't tell us anything like that. RO data is going to stay the same here. I'm going to split this, though. And we're going to make a, I think we'll make an eCloak night. And it might not be all of these functions, but I'm going to split off the step forward function. Keep that in 3A92C and see if that works. So we'll change this to E. I could spell cloak. Night, we're going to cram those 2 Ks together. And then down at the text, 3A92C, which is already a bad name for this word. 3B COC. That's gonna be our, not clock night, but cloak night. And then, yeah, roaming, I agree about the post decrement. Logically, that would make sense. So we're going to create a new cloak night function or file. And I'm hoping this works. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to figure something else out. So we're going to leave our step towards there, pull everything else into that. It could be functions after this that are causing the padding issue, but we'll see. So hold on to your butts. We're going to see if this works. Still not. Still the same issue, it looks like. So it could be a function later on that's causing this, and so we could split after this function too. My guess, though, is that it isn't... Yeah, we're seeing exactly the same behavior. So two of these functions are going to be related to the Cloak Knight. And so let's see if we can figure out which ones those are. And maybe just split off the last one. So I'm going to look at each of these. I want to see if they have RO data associated with them. And if they don't have RO data associated with them, then it's probably not related. And if they do, then it probably needs to move. Now that I've done this, let's see if Splat is yelling at me. No. Splat doesn't always recognize where the splits should be. Alright, let's try... I'm going to go backwards, ASM, because I think the next two functions are going to be related to the Cloak Knight. I'm not sure about that last one. So it has its own RO data. I'm going to assume, possibly wrongly, that this, and we could go through and try to identify what this function is, which might have its own advantages. I'm going to split this off, though, into its own file. So we're going to have a split at 3C. 71C, just going to be anonymous or automatic, and it's going to have RO data then. And its RO data is going to be at 25B88. And so I have to create that new file. And hopefully these are a pain to deal with when you run into them. Because sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't, and if it doesn't work, reverting is not fun. But we'll see, we'll see. Okay, I'm hopeful. Still not. We got rid of four of the bytes. So this might be on the right track. Maybe we should peel another one off. Let's do that. When you're just including ASM as opposed to compiling something, the bytes that get put in the final binary are more similar to what that include ASM was, if not identical. The padding doesn't get mucked with quite the same way as when the compiler takes over. And so you have to deal with those things as well. Let's try. I guess I assumed the outline and the the sword would have been in the same file, but maybe not. So let's look at this one. This last file does not have a jump table. And this one doesn't either. And the jump tables really are what should be causing this. Hey, Don't Fluff the Pillows, good to have you back. Dig down deep. Sorry I missed your messages earlier. I did comment about being lower. I do feel lower though. Sometimes I sit on my leg, make myself feel a little taller. I don't know, maybe my camera got bumped. All right, so what is next? What can we do? Let's look at, I guess, the RO data by itself and see if there's padding anywhere there. Maybe I'm off by some amount. Yeah, these look fine, but we'll see. Let's pull up the data by itself, see if it looks like there's padding. The Tyrol or Carl print line font print. I don't think that's related. However, it is used by Harpy as well, but I think it is duplicated. So I don't think we have to deal with that. If this doesn't work, I'll revert a bunch of these, revert a bunch of these changes and see if we can determine what's going on. So I'm going to look at the Cloak Knight RO data. And we do have some padding at the end of this jump table at 25B84. And then the next RO data is uh 3C. And this ends abruptly without any padding. So this gets padded out to the 8 byte boundary. Let's look at the splat config. Sorry for the wrapping. Subalign is 4. Is that 4 words? 4 words would put everything at zeros for alignment. I'm guessing it's 4 bytes. That makes the most sense. I know, right? Lazy Punk KO7 says, holy cow, add more maps and mods to Soten. Just get on it. I was looking for the address of the Bat Familiar card in Castle Flags, and surprisingly or not, I don't think our internal documentation for Soten Decomp gives us that, because the way Castle Flags is defined, it's just an array, and then we have enums with all the offsets, but that doesn't necessarily tell you the address in RAM of any of those flags. And so usually I just Google for like GameShark codes, because the GameShark code will have the address in there. And I came across a Reddit thread about are there any mods to have multiple familiars at once? And that's actually a pretty interesting question. The poster didn't know why it might be an interesting question, but no, it is not possible to have multiple familiars at once. And unless we do something pretty extreme, it will never be possible to have multiple familiars at once in Soten, even after we mod it. Maybe a like non-console port, possibly. Even then, I don't think it would be possible without significant alterations to the game. Basically, the game is based on the idea that you have exactly one familiar. And so any code having to do with familiars goes to a pointer that is exactly to that familiar. The one that's loaded, not like exactly to bat, exactly to sword. No, sword, bat, they just take over the memory space of whichever one you have assigned. Okay, so back to what I was doing. I'm going to no wrap these so I can get alignment, excuse me, for my own sanity here. The RO data section A, what is that important? I don't think so. So we have our ASCII text followed by this jump table, and this jump table is used by the Cloak Knight. What? Ah, yeah. It's used by BBCOC. Let's do this. Let's see if I've screwed up something else after all my splits. I'm gonna get rid of this function. Oh, this is a bummer. I expected this one to slot right in. So this might have to sit a while. Stay a while and listen. We're going to rebuild this, and then so the splits are fine. I didn't screw up anything majorly with those. It's, yeah, something's causing some additional padding, and I'm not sure what. So I'm gonna ignore PlayStation for now. Usually PlayStation is the easier of the two, but let's see if it works on the PSP. What's somewhat interesting is we can kind of map the cluster of these functions as well and see what we think. So Spectral Sword Aura, like I said, I think these three functions are three Cloak Knight. I don't think these functions below are going to be related at all. But we'll see. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'll open the splat config just in case I have to switch those around. 10F5 8. We do have RO data associated with this already, so that should be fine. And again, I'm expecting this to slot right in. I do need to update the name. The init is going to be different. I'm going to rename it temporarily. I like to make symbols for all of those, but since it's not matching on, we're not building properly on the PlayStation, I'm not going to worry about that. Ah, this is what's nice about having a good compiler. So the problem with the PlayStation likely had nothing to do with the alignment or where the splits were, but that I did not have all of the appropriate declarations. I'm going to revert this. I'm going to go add those missing field in that union. And then hopefully that will round this out. Silly mistake. Let's make sure this builds. So is going to rebuild the world because everything relies on entities, and we have to have a union that is the appropriate size. If anybody has a good C trick for not having to declare all the fields in a union, let me know. I can think of a few hacks, but they're not very nice. But basically, anybody who uses that union has to know about all of the other fields for all the other parts of the game, and that's not very nice. So now we should be able to put that code back. All right, so we're not matching there either. This one is a much bigger issue. And this is adding 80 bytes. Did I get rid of everything that I needed to? Alignment, that's kind of funny. Alignment here is 80 bytes. So this might be related to the split as well. Now that this is fixed, though, I'm going to go back and try to do this one more time on the PlayStation. Yeah, we could do pointer casting. We do use it so much that I think it would be just so much noise. I was doing something like that for, there's a scratch pad area on the PlayStation where it's memory that's basically on the CPU, and you can use it for fast access. And basically that you're given a pointer to the scratch pad, and it's just bytes. You do with it what you want. And so I was writing macros to do that, to cast it to different structs to make it easier to use, and it's just kind of, it's really gross. And I don't know that it's that portable either. I guess depending on how you expand the macros, you can make it portable. So let's try this one more time now that I fixed the declarations. Hopefully, for the PlayStation, and we'll see if that's any better. If not, for another day, I guess. Sometimes solving the things around the function that you're working on moves things around just enough to be able to be dealt with. And there's no warnings or errors here. Just a build and then a failure. And now we're too short. That's good. I think I'm okay with that. All right, so too short is fine. Let's undo the one split. We're gonna get rid of 3C71C. Really want this to be a clock night. I'm going to just comment these out. Oh, this is good. Much better issue. So we have a 4-2 versus a 5-1 at 3BFF0. 3BFF0 is going to be in our function. That's fine. It did look like this is unnecessary, so I could probably get rid of this file. Let's figure out where... no, I want ASM, USST, NZ1, non-matchings. I'm guessing this is going to be in the Cloak Knight, this first function. And we're at 3BFF0, 3BFF0. We have an offset 48. It's near step towards. So line 78. We do have to get all these illegal I appreciate it, Lazy Punk. I'm probably it would be nice to add some mods here. Let's see if there's other step towards functions, because this is not one that's showing an issue. Is there a branch here that's missing? 110. Yes. Oh, I missed it. 111. So this ends up not being a variable. Huh. Okay. Anyway. People are definitely working on it. What? So it was a hard game to mod without the source. Turns out that it's a hard game to mod. But people are making progress. I am just going to fix this inline. We will have to go back to the PSP and see if it works there as well. Maybe that's all it was. Yeah, that's all it was. So let's check it. Chickadee check it before we rickety wreck it. We're at a diff of 60 bytes, 60, I don't know, 60 somethings, or 60 without that variable. Let's go look at that. So we might have a diff or a, yeah, we're gonna have to conditionally compile this between the PSP and the PlayStation, but that's fine. The PSP still wasn't working though, so I'm not gonna move that one back in. I think I'm gonna leave it like this. So we were able to get a match on the PlayStation, still not the PSP. This is one of the reasons I usually don't do them both at the same time and just focus on the PlayStation, because the PlayStation typically you can move a little faster. Or I'm just stronger in that environment. But we'll come back and we'll see. Work through a few more of these Cloak Knight issues and see. So that's it's gonna be a short one today. Let's come on, Safari. You can show this page. Show the page to the nice people. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And you can go to soten.z.dev to learn more. And if you normally would go to this page, you would get a some nice graphs. There we go. That showed you the progress. Find a link to Discord. Find a link to GitHub, and the code that we decompile here on the stream will make it back at some point up to GitHub. That's all I got. Talk to y'all later. Adios. Sanity is overrated. Agreed. Appreciate it. Does it, Lazy Punk? Don't fluff the pillows. It's always good to have all of you here. Adios.